Oh, you can have too many penises. Look, this has gotten out of hand. It's a weakness. Definitely makes you vulnerable.
You mean you, or the person with too many penises?
The one with too many penises.
Okay.
Not me. Not vulnerable.
Not vulnerable to too many penises?
No.
Welcome once again to Noah's Snark, where two former religious types and current snarks take a look at religious media on its own terms.
I'm Hillary.
And I am Josh, aka Rock and Roll Jesus.
Yes. It's Jesus I can get behind.
This week, you people, the royal you,
Right,
are lucky that we like you. As discussed on the last episode, I hate musicals.
Mm-hmm.
And Hillary hates John Legend.
It's so much. So much, Josh.
Now, I had this thought when I was preparing. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about Chrissy Teigen?
I have zero opinions about her because I think she's a non-entity. I don't understand why she's as prevalent as she is.
She's funny. She's kind of funny on like Twitter and stuff. If you don't pay attention, it's not a thing you'd notice.
No, I am not on it, but it's constantly talked about in BuzzFeed. Like, listen to this crazy thing Chrissy Teigen said, and sometimes I'll click on it out of curiosity. I'm like, that wasn't that funny. Yeah. I don't think she's anything.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, she's fine. She's fine.
She's a fine woman.
I have literally no interest in her or her life.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
I was just curious because
it's Kardashian level disinterest.
Well, cool. Regardless of any of that, we are here now to talk about the modern-day remake of Jesus Christ Superstar, which was live from NBC.
Yeah, following a series of NBC's new thing, which is live musicals.
Mm-hmm. Fox did one too, though. Fox did Rocky Horror.
I didn't watch that one. I thought that if out of any of them, that would be the one I probably would like the most, but I still just don't like the concept, and I think it always comes across as cheesy and missing the point.
Well, I'm sure you'll change your mind on this one.
Probably, yeah. Definitely.
But this one was originally broadcast on Easter of 2018. That was April 1st, April Fool's Day, as you know. It stars John Legend, Sarah Bareilles, and Brandon Victor Dixon.
Yes, who I know, and you probably don't.
I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
But that's it, and then we're going to start with first impressions.
Okay, with the first impressions thing, is it like when you told me we were going to be recording this, my thoughts?
Like
or
anything,
like when I first started watching it?
No,
like
anything you knew going in.
Okay.
And what you expected.
Going in, I knew that I have a general dislike for the TV live musical genre that it's in fad right now. They're
doing Bye Bye Birdie next year.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Jennifer Lopez is the star.
Oh my god, are you kidding me? Wait, how? Oh, is she playing the Anne Margaret role?
I don't know, whoever the star of Bye Bye Birdie is.
The star of Bye Bye Birdie?
I couldn't tell you who the main character is.
Well, Birdie was supposed to be like an Elvis-type character that everybody was obsessed with, and he goes away to the army just like Elvis did. Anne Margaret, who's like...
I guess she's Aunt Margaret, then.
But she's supposed to be a teenager.
I don't know.
And Margaret's a teenager who's like obsessed with this Elvis character. I have no idea. My guess is she's not going to play the lead. There's going to be another major
They
character.
pushed it to next year because she's going to play the lead. She was too busy this year.
Well, it's going to be garbage. I can tell you right now. Grease was kind of fun because the movie is as shallow as a TV live broadcast will be. So it's not like it was ruining the heart of anything like it did for Sound of Music and Peter Pan, where there is no understanding of what the script or story or book or whatever was intended to be. It was literally just songs. And terrible cheap costumes, and my heart breaking.
Sorry, I've distracted you. So you'd hate the live musicals, as we've just learned.
When did you distract me?
By mentioning Bye Bye Birdie.
Oh, but I was already moving on.
It's true.
Now you just distracted me from me moving on.
Fine.
So anyway, I hate all the live musicals. Second, I actually did know about this play beforehand because my dad was really into it when I was a kid. Like, I don't know how he feels about it now. I kind of wanted to do an interview with him. But he liked it a lot. I think we had the movie when I was a kid. I never watched it, but hate John Legend. Knowing his name was attached to it just scratched that ire itch and made it worse. And I don't really think I only had bad feelings, is what I should just say. I only had bad feelings. When is that not true here, though? When did I ever start something like stoked?
For my part, I knew going in that this was a mostly dialogue-less musical, play, whatever you call it.
Yeah, your worst nightmare.
Meaning that, it's basically just only song, and that is my worst nightmare. I don't like musicals primarily because I think the music gets in the way of the story.
I will disagree with that, but we don't need to talk about it right now.
I like the story in some musicals, Phantom of the Opera, Sweeney Todd, but I always get irritated part of the way through because I'm like, just stop fucking singing at me and tell me what's happening with words and tell me the story, which is what I hate about musicals in particular. So after learning that, I immediately regretted my decision to do this.
Yeah, it was your decision.
And it was. And it took me so long and so much effort to just hit the play button.
When did you watch this? Yesterday?
I finished it yesterday. Yeah. I started it the night before.
I did the exact same thing.
I had to do it half and half.
Well, I fell asleep the night before trying to finish watching it.
It was like 10:30. I was sleepy.
That's exactly right. We had the exact same experience.
But press on we must, because we are here to do a show about religious media, and here we are. And we're doing Jesus Christ Superstar. I had also seen the movie once for a class in college. I don't remember that much about it. I was barely paying attention. I remember I liked the very last song, Jesus Christ, Superstar.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all I remember from that. And Judas was black, and that's what I took
in the
note
movie
of.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, he wore a weird Thriller outfit. He was red. He was real.
Outfits are something we're going to talk about.
Good, because I have no impressions of those.
There's what? Okay, whatever. Go on.
So we're on to the breakdown. And an orchestra opens us up with some pretty pounding, dramatic tunes.
Which I got actually a little bit stoked about.
Yeah.
Whatever. Got me going.
The sort of general ensemble for a musical that you require are jumping around and they're dancing and they're undoing a table that's in the middle of the room. And then after they get this table out of the way, a woman runs through and she lights a fire. And then the music picks up with an electric guitar now.
Yeah. For the record, the music is all being performed live. They have this big scaffolding with all of the orchestra, but then there's also these, actor musicians who are walking around, this child, Jimi Hendrix, baby Jimi Hendrix, just slaying an electric guitar, and these three women wandering around with violas of some sort.
Yeah.
Is that what those were? Violas? The little thin ones?
Yeah.
String instruments that sounded rad. And I'm I could watch a whole concert of these people.
I wasn't against this opening part. That's why I said it was pounding and dramatic.
Yeah, totally.
It was the electric guitar cuts in, and the others that were doing the table before start dancing like hardcore kids. They start swinging their arms and head bashing, and they're
well, and they all are decked out in they look like hipsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. like partially shaved heads, mohawks, just an alternative group of people.
Yeah. In the early
punks.
2000s, they were the hardcore kids.
Right.
They were not emo. They were not punk.
No.
They were not goth. But they were some combination of
each. It was
each.
post-punk because of the time period.
If you've ever seen the AFI video, The Leaving Song Part 2,
okay,
this is what they were dancing.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen it.
It's got a little ska-ness to it, too. Yeah. Just a lot of kicking. And
exactly.
Jumping and
that's
throwing
hardcore
things
dancing.
around. Yeah,
it's where you just flail your body, but you don't hit anybody.
Right. You try your best not to, but pits get started.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, that's the thing. Generally in hardcore dancing, no pits.
Really?
Right. That's sort of the difference. A mosh pit, you're supposed to be somewhat violent, but it's under control, but everyone's just you're probably gonna come out with a bruise.
Right.
Hardcore dancing.
And somebody would apologize for it.
Right. Sorry for bruising you, but that was fun, right? And it was great.
And they all have X's on their hands because they're hardcore. Or what is it called?
That's
oh my god.
Straight edge.
Straight edge, yeah. That's just a bunch of straight edge.
Hardcore dancing is very similar, but there's very rarely a pit. And if there is, it's mostly just a circle that they make but no one's hitting each other.
Right.
No one's bouncing off of anyone else.
They're just taking turns performing for each other in a circle.
Yes.
That's adorable.
It's a thing. I want to show you this video.
I would love to see this video.
It's kind of funny. I was an AFI fan in my high school days.
Silver and Cold, man.
Right?
Yeah,
that's the album.
One of my favorite movies.
Same album.
Or one of my favorite, songs ever.
All right,
what was the main character's name? Something
Davy Jones or something?
No, it was Davy Mania or Davy
Havoc.
Yes.
Davy Havoc.
He looked really good with long hair. Once he cut it, I was less into it.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway.
So, as the hardcore kids are dancing, another dude spray paints Jesus on the wall. Which, for me, was the first time I was like, what the fuck is happening?
It's a little what the fuck, but also it was he's doing this live, and he has really good handwriting, considering he's, shooting off this,
spray paint?
It was a spray paint can, but it looked more like a fire extinguisher, and it seemed difficult to control, so he clearly been practicing.
But he does in red this big Jesus on the wall.
Yeah.
And it is well done, but it's also why is this happening?
Well, here's why. You'll find out.
Will I?
Insanity. That's why.
Okay. This introduction with the orchestra and the guitar eventually ends, and we finally see John Legend as Jesus over the sounds of a choir.
Yeah, coming through the door that says Jesus, which I'm guessing is part of it. The store, that says Jesus on it now, splits and opens. Mm-hmm. And,
you're right, I didn't notice that, but it is definitely a double door.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. No, okay, no, go on. I was just gonna say, the whole opening makes me feel like I'm a mega church youth service. Just with the whole Jesus freak theme, where it's all these alternative kids who have leaders that did drugs once and have a tattoo, and they're cool Christians, and they're leaders so that kids think they're cool. Whatever. That's the whole opening. Go on.
No, I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
He sits down before a group of followers, and he gives them a little Jesus speech. He's not speaking, we can't hear it, but it's very clear what's happening.
Right.
This might be the Sermon on the Mount, we don't know. Lurking in the foreground, we see Judas for the first time. This is Brandon Victor Dixon.
Yes. Most well known for replacing Leslie Odom Jr. in Hamilton as Aaron Burr. You're aware of Hamilton.
Yes.
And you're aware of the Burr character and his importance.
I know who Aaron Burr is as a historical figure.
Exactly. So that's all you need to know. But he's basically the lead outside of Hamilton. But taking over that role is a really big deal. He's the first person.
Because Hamilton's the biggest musical of all time.
Yes, exactly. He only did it for a year and a half, maybe 2 years, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, replacing the original is always a big deal when you're talking about the biggest musical.
Right, and when the musical hasn't left Broadway in any respect, and it's still going very strong to the point where he still can't afford to get tickets. Whatever, moving on.
But we finally see Judas, and he starts the first proper song with lyrics of the musical. It's basically about how he doesn't believe all the hype about Jesus, and that they are in literal danger because of the way that Jesus is leading what I'm going to call the Jesus cult.
Yes, that's a very good way to put it.
And it's kind of funny, because as he's going through this and doing some of the musical exposition for the setup, John Legend is playing to the crowd of what appears to be entirely women.
Yeah.
Because he's getting real close to the live audience, and he's touching their hands, and they are all shrieking.
I know.
But, he's singing.
Ugh.
Judas is singing, and John Legend is just, making everyone freak out.
Yeah.
And, he's clearly being over...
Well, he's being the Jesus character, which Judas has a problem with because of this reason.
Yeah.
He's getting, these, cultish followers without his word being really said anymore.
Yeah.
Also, I need to point out that John Legend's man cleavage is out of control, and it's distracting, and I hate it so much. I've never wanted to see that much John Legend chest. Ever.
But it amused me because I was he's trying to tell you what's happening in the story, and the audience is over him.
Well, that was all planned.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
It's just still funny to me.
Yeah. I also just random outbursts by the crowd during the whole dance number at the beginning made me think that there was something cool happening off camera at all times. But really, I just think they had I think there was somebody just off camera, clearly, obviously, just holding up a sign for applause whenever they wanted to, because they wanted the energy to stay high at all times. But it was very distracting. I'd be what's going on? Did somebody do a flip? Why is everybody freaking out?
That's funny. So, over the course of this song, there are 2 instances where the backing tune and the lighting entirely changes. And maybe it's because I don't speak musical, but I don't understand why that was done. Do you remember this?
I need more information.
The first song Judas sings. He doesn't seem to change songs.
Yeah.
But the music, like the background music and the lighting just fade out because, it's usually pretty bright.
Yeah.
Then it's just like real dark and blue. And then it's back. And then it changes again. And I was like, why? What's happening?
I kind of want to see what you're talking about because I probably know exactly why, but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't have Hulu on my phone. But my guess would be, like, do you know what the lyrics were being said at the time?
Not particularly.
It might have been trying to drive home whatever exact thing he was talking about at the time. Like, sometimes it's to draw focus, especially with lighting, to a very specific person or a mood so that you're having like there's a physical representation of the mood that's trying to be portrayed via music and lyrics. I'm saying that not knowing exactly what part
happened.
you're talking about.
And that's the thing. I get all that because
it's logical.
I have a somewhat understanding of film.
Right.
Like, I get it. But I just didn't. Again, I'm not good at musicals, so maybe I don't speak musical. But I just didn't. I was like, why are they doing this right now? It doesn't make any sense.
It just seemed erratic.
Yeah. But it was fine. It was the only time it happened, which is part of probably why it stood out to me.
Huh.
To the best of my knowledge. Anyway, Judas' song is eventually over, and Jesus moves to confront Judas over his doubt. But he's interrupted by the crowd singing a new song. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening.
And I laughed out loud the whole time.
Because of the song? Or?
Yes. What's the buzz? Tell me. Yeah, all these people with like mohawks and like shaved heads and piercings and stuff be like, what's the buzz?
Tell me what's happening.
So fucking lame.
But Jesus eventually gets sucked into the crowd and responds in song, telling them not to worry about tomorrow. And at this point, I'm going to stop saying in song because all the responses are in song. Right. Everything's in song.
Yeah.
There is, I think, one line that's not technically part of a song. And even then, it proceeds and then precedes a song.
Right.
It's just a minor, like, shut the fuck up!
Yeah. You have like a moment of, yeah.
And then it's a song. And it was a song right before that. So everything is in song.
Yes.
Just, I'm not going to say it was a song because it's always a song.
Yeah.
But he tells him not to worry about tomorrow, and Judas looks on very disapprovingly, while Sarah Bareilles makes her entrance as Mary Magdalene.
Just bland, vanilla-ass Sarah Bareilles.
She is first watching him, Jesus, sing the song, and then she comes over and tries to cool down his face a bit. Which might be a metaphor. I wasn't entirely sure.
I don't know if mopping the brow is
she's
comparative to like washing someone's feet or something. I don't know. There's like a correlation. I don't know.
She's just trying to calm him down because he's getting really agitated. And he seems to like her quite a bit. But he's still very worked up over all of his followers being so future and fight focused. Because they were mentioning that they are willing to fight for Jesus.
Right.
If he wants them to.
Yeah.
And he was like, don't worry about tomorrow and stop this fighting nonsense. And she comes in to be like, calm down. Just calm all the way down. You're at a 10.
Just touch him way too much.
Be at a 2.
Ugh. They tug each other very sensually, and it made me throw up in my mouth.
So Jesus sits down to cool off, and Judas then lambasts him for being into a woman such as that. Mary Magdalene, the prostitute.
Correct.
And that
Jesus...
Sex
worker,
right. But I think at one point, one of the lyrics is literally, I'm not judging her for her job, but also totally am.
Yeah.
He doesn't say it that way.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't care about her job. It's just saying that she's that type of lady. It's like, you can't. It's basically the I'm not racist, but.
Right. I was going to say, that's exactly what it's like. No judgment, but judgment.
Yeah. I'm not racist. I'm just saying that, like, if they wanted to get jobs, maybe they should. It's like you're about to say something stupid and racist. Spoilers to your life. If you've ever said, I'm not racist, but you probably said something stupid and racist.
Correct. Or I'm not sexist, but.
Yeah.
Or,
I'm not X, but is almost certainly followed by something. Like, there's a 94% chance that you just said something that fits X exactly.
I feel like that's a mathematical thing. Yeah, we definitely.
I could do them. I could
definitely
do the stats
94.
Yeah. Judas is arguing about Jesus liking a woman such as that, and he says that Jesus is being inconsistent, which is bad for all of the followers. And now Jesus finally responds directly to Judas and defends Mary. This is the first time directly responding because he earlier had started to, and then he was interrupted by the crowd.
Right.
And so now he's finally talking to Judas face to face. He says, Jesus says, no one cares if he stays or goes, but all of his followers interrupt him again and start to yell at him. It's something like, how could you say that? How could you say such a thing? Mm-hmm. Something like that. Mary breaks up the fight between Jesus and his followers with a song about turning away from the things that bother you.
Yep, and this is where Hillary down again. As soon as she opens her mouth, I go, I don't hear a word she's saying.
You're like Bender in a closet.
Exactly. I forget I'm watching this completely. Like my eyes leave the screen. She has a lovely voice, and it's just so boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, because I like Sarah Bareilles' music in general.
No.
But I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
She is not a particularly distinct
or evocative, she doesn't portray. She, like John Legend, has a vacantness. She at least she's able to furrow her brows, so that gives a little bit of emotion. We should mention, since you're talking about furrowing of brows, John Legend is not, and to be fair, it's not his general go-to, a great actor. No, he's not a great human. He can't. John Legend has never felt an emotion. And watching him try his best is embarrassing. Like, he cannot portray any emotion except for puzzlement? Blank or confusion. Yeah. It's either blank completely or worry or confusion, similar. Yeah. Just like one look. Yeah, it's easily probably the biggest weakness of the show overall. Yeah. And I don't think it's that big a deal because it's like, whatever. Like, the main guy can't emote very well. Jesus. They cast him as Jesus. True. But I think in a musical, the point is a person who can sing. Nope. No? Not at all. No. Then it's wrong. As important. It's like being able to act and emote and be a character is more like you can be a bad singer and pull that off better. Like, okay. You know what? I see your point. Yeah. For sure. I don't care what you sound like. Also, I hate his voice. It sounds like it's coming through like a tube. Like he has like a hollowness to his voice. And he also just has this arrogance about him. Like he has this like grimy sheen to him that is just like, I am fucking God. Which is why this role. I'm God. No, he's just like, I'm amazing. I'm the best. I'm whatever. And I hate him. Okay. Go on. So while we were talking about furrowing of brows, I wanted to mention that John Legend is the worst actor on stage. Correct. Just generally. But I mean, he can sing. But I think you're right. It does matter. He hits the notes. Especially if your main character can... He also looks like a turtle while he sings. I think he just looks like a turtle. Yeah, he does look like a turtle. But when he sings, he pushes his nerd neck out even further. Oh, yeah. He has that nerd neck thing where he has like the hunch to his back, which is most likely, honestly, like an anterior pelvic tilt, which causes the neck to go forward also. Either way, he should get looked at. And he looks like a turtle. After Mary tells him to turn away from the things that are bothering him, we meet Caiaphas and the rest of the Pharisees. Yes. And they're talking about how Jesus is dangerous and they need to do something about him. Can we talk about how Caiaphas is like a hot dude? He's also big in Broadway, for the record. Okay, is he? Yes, he is. Like, I'm not into dudes and I am attracted to this man. He's very attractive. In a very like... kind of wise older man. He looks like a professor. Yeah, like he's he could be an older your black hot man. Professor. Like just he seems very intelligent, very wise. Like, but he also, I know him because he plays Javert, both on Broadway and in London in Les Mis, which is one of my favorite musicals of all time. I felt really proud because you said Javert and I knew it. You knew it was, yeah. I was like, yes. You know what? He was a lot better than, let's say, Russell Crowe? Russell Crowe. Yeah, Russell Crowe. Oh my God, we don't need to talk about that tragedy. But no, so he already holds a place in my heart, and I was excited to see him, honestly. Yeah. But also, yes, he's also decked out in like this weird geometric black Matrix-looking robe thing. Yeah, it was definitely a Matrix. It was very Matrixy. It's very futuristic. All the costumes are bizarro, but yeah. Do you know his name? Norm Lewis. Norm Lewis. Yeah, Norm Lewis, we love you. It's true. You were a treasure in this. Honestly, spoilers for the end. I didn't like this at all because it's... Spoiler.
But I like Norm Lewis. Something about him was just like
he has
drawing.
a commanding presence.
Yeah. Commanding. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, and when he was singing, I paid attention to him. Even though he sings in the baritone and he just kind of makes it operatic, which sometimes annoys me, but he can pull it off.
But Caiaphas points out that the rest of the Pharisees, the high priests, are playing small potatoes. And they can't just attack Jesus. They have to kill him. They have to finish the job. Just as this song finishes, Jesus enters the room flocked by his massive crowd. And Caiaphas tells Jesus to shut them up. But Jesus riles them up instead.
With his smug-ass face.
He's very smug about it. That's 100% true. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but he's smug as shit.
I don't think he could help it. That's his face.
But the Roman guards come in, which are essentially cops, and they act all cool. But Jesus outcools them by offering himself up for arrest. He puts his hands out.
Yeah.
But they move on. And then everyone breaks into dance as they sing about how much they love Jesus.
In a very abruptly sexual way.
Yeah, I don't remember the cadence exactly or the tune, but
touch me, Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus, I am with you.
Kiss me, Jesus. Yeah.
Jesus, I am with you. Touch me, Jesus.
Yeah, it's something like, I'm
Jesus,
so uncomfortable.
I am with you. Kiss me, Jesus.
This entire, I was so uncomfortable from beginning to end of this entire performance. I'm so uncomfortable right now talking about it.
It was real weird.
I'm pawing at him in his weird, like, long sweater coat.
Yeah. Tell me what happens next. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I lost a little bit of interest, and I checked Facebook real quick. Go on with you.
How dare you? How dare you?
But I know there was a very blonde...
I called him Floppy Mohawk Meth Head.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's not meant to be as insulting as it sounds.
Yeah.
This dude had so much charisma. Yeah. And so much, like, energy.
I did later find out that he is a Swedish musician.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he's clearly, he's not like a stage performer type in that way. Like, he doesn't seem like he came from Broadway, and this is his thing like a lot of the other guys do. He definitely seems like a rock star type of a dude. Tall, lanky, sinewy, kind of like Jesus should be, which is why I think he should have been the leader to begin with. But he, like, just takes the mic and, like, rocks out and, like, gets on the stage and sings about something. I can't tell you what.
I thought the song was something about, like, reaffirming their commitment to Jesus' cause. Like, sure. I'll do anything for you, Jesus. I'm a kill a monkey if I need to.
Yeah, this is where I have to admit that I have no idea what any of the lyrics were. I was not paying attention to the lyrics. I don't think they're important.
I don't know how I caught up that much, honestly. What was the Swedish guy's song about? He plays Simon the Zealot. That's what we know. Yeah. What was he talking about? Do you remember?
No, I never knew.
That's the thing. I wasn't paying much attention either. But I did pick back up right when Pontius Pilate started singing a very somber song about the time he met Jesus and how he was the most amazing man. Pontius Pilate is a famous Brit. Yes. What is his name? Do we know it?
I wrote down Gary Oldman as Willy Wonka because that's
oh shit. Yes.
That's what he looked like.
Ben Daniels.
Ben Daniels, yes. Ben Daniels. I did look that up. I just didn't write it down. Right. And he's been around. Dude's
I recognized him right away. And he did a good song.
He did a good song, and to be honest, well, I'll save it for the end.
Okay. But we're back to a rocking guitar. And the money changers are singing happily about how they can offer anything for the right price, but they are interrupted by Jesus throwing out those same money changers from his temple. Is this when this glitter orgy happened?
No, this was literally just like people being debaucherous on that.
Isn't that when the glitter orgy might happen?
I don't know what the moneylenders are. Like, I didn't know anybody was called moneylenders.
It's a famous word from the Bible when he whipped them out of the temple and he was like, "Get the fuck out! This is my temple."
No, again, none of this.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. But Jesus then sings a sad, slow song about how he knows his time is almost through. And he's then approached by a variety of sick and injured people who he proceeds to try to heal. Do you you remember this?
I remember this, and this is what makes me think the moneylenders is the glitter orgy I was talking about. Because I remember right after that, he kicks them out, and then he gets attacked by zombies.
Yes.
Because that's what it felt like.
Yes, they all had, like, cloths over their head.
Right, and they're, like, dragging a full foot and just, like, bleeding, and they're all
Help
like,
me, Jesus!
I can't see, I'm blind, save me, whatever. Like, they all had their ailments that they were screaming about.
But he goes through all of them and tries to heal them, but he's eventually swarmed by them because there's too many. And he ends up dog-piled underneath. And then he laments as he's heading underneath them that there's too little of him and too many of them. Mm-hmm. He runs away after shouting at them to heal yourselves.
Just classic Jesus. Like, I don't got time for this. Heal yourself.
I mean, if we take a look at how the actual world exists, and if we think that God really exists, then 100% yes.
Yeah, I gotta say it, but we're saying it.
Mary shows up to give him the same advice about relaxing and turning away from that which bothers him.
Yeah, I think she's just like a yoga nut. She's one of those people who's like, you should just meditate more. He's like, I'm holding the weight of the world on my shoulders.
And Jesus is going to take her up on the offer this time. And he seems to take a nap, essentially. He just like relaxes for the first time. Mm-hmm. She then gets a solo song about her feelings about Jesus. And they are mixed, to say the least. Mm-hmm. She loves him and wants him, but is scared of him all at once and didn't expect to be put in this position.
This is where I checked out.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good news, because I did not.
Oh, good. Balance.
Yeah, because you just don't find Sarah Bareilles interesting.
No.
I get that.
No. Not even interesting. It's just like background noise. Background light. She could have been speaking another language in the same pretty singing voice, and it would have had the same effect.
Okay. Well, what does happen is not really significant. She finishes her song, and then it is followed by an orchestral break. But then Caiaphas and the rest of the Pharisees meet with Judas over a very active, almost surfer-style song. Do you remember it?
Kind of.
It's like, I think I remember being like, boop, 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 boop. It was very, like, 50s. Yeah,
oh my god, like, Beach Blanket Bingo, kind of a, yeah.
100%. But I kind of did enjoy it for the most part, the song. And they tell Judas to cut the excuses and the bullshit and just tell them where they can find Jesus because they have arranged for everything else. Judas rejects the money that they offer, but he does end up taking it because he's about to betray Jesus anyway.
Right.
He may as well get paid for it.
And they're like, you give it to charity?
Right.
You can help poor people?
Right. It's a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's some
silver. Some silver coins. A certain number.
As we know, Hillary has a strong affinity for silver coins.
I do. I do, and I remembered that when this happened. I'm like, I would take those silver coins.
30 pieces of silver in hand. We now cut to Jesus's crew dancing slowly, and they're doing a little ditty about how great their life is. Like, everything is fantastic. Cults do. Yeah. Everything's fantastic. We're gonna live forever. Blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Jesus stuff.
Right.
Jesus intercuts this song, and he's now doing the Last Supper. He's doing the "this wine is my blood and this bread is my body" thing.
Yeah.
He then gives some prophecies about how Peter, a character we've seen on screen but hasn't been really named yet.
Just precious. Peter's adorable. He looks like a very young, symmetrical John Leguizamo.
Yeah.
Yeah, love him.
He talks about how Peter will deny him. Uh-huh. And one of the 12 apostles, one of his chosen people, will outright betray him. Obviously, that's Judas. Mm-hmm. Right when he says this, Judas does arrive, and he basically confesses in front of everybody, and they argue in front of everyone about Judas's betrayal. Judas claims Jesus wants him to do it anyway, and if he was really working against him, he would just stay here and fuck up his steez.
Steez?
Steez.
What's that?
It's your steez. It's like your deal.
Is this like street talk?
Yeah.
I've never heard that before in my life.
Steez.
Ugh, my whiteness is showing.
Jesus then tells him to go on and get on with it. They're waiting for you outside. Judas leaves, and the rest of the Jesus cult falls asleep. And Jesus laments to himself over their naps.
The best part about that to me is he's really, like, bummed that everybody's falling asleep. He just got him drunk on his blood. He's like, they're all wasted on Jesus' blood wine.
Oh, what does he say? Is anyone going to stay with me?
He's like, is no one going to, like, stay up all night with me? Like, it's that one guy at the end of the party who's like, why is everyone going to bed? Because you got us wasted.
We're hammered now.
Yeah.
We need sleep. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, he laments to himself over their naps that he's less certain now than when he started his grand quest. And he seems to be singing this one to God and to be fully cognizant of what's going to happen. Because he mentions that he's going to be nailed to that tree. Mm-hmm. He's going to mention that he's going to be hated. And after this pretty overly long song, Judas and Jesus confront each other once more. Judas gives him the infamous kiss where he betrays him to identify him to the Pharisees. And they embrace. They give a big hug before the rest of the cult wakes up, just as the Roman guard takes Jesus away. Jesus' cult swarms the guards and say that they're going to fight for Jesus, but he tells them to stop and go back to fishing. He's then surrounded...
Such a dick.
Yeah, a little bit. He's not... Yeah. He's then surrounded by reporters and journalists, complete with microphones and notepads. A sort of, I guess, allegory to, like, modern day.
I think it's just anachronism.
Yeah, it's just an anachronism. But it's clearly intentional, because they have
it's definitely intentional. Yeah, but it's, just kind of, like, bringing it to the modern audience. I'm sure, so, yeah.
And they ask him how he feels about the upcoming trial, what his biggest mistake was, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like, do you regret anything you've done? What do you think your biggest mistake was?
Right.
Do you think you're going to succeed in your upcoming trial? All this stuff. And he keeps being, like, thrust around, and he's trying to, like, take these questions in, but he doesn't even have time to answer because there's so many.
If the paparazzi existed in biblical times.
Right. He's then brought before Caiaphas and the Pharisees, and they thank Judas for his work. As this closes out, a woman confronts Peter about his association with Jesus, and he does, in fact, do the 3 denials thing. Mm-hmm. This is the one line in the movie, in the musical, that is not a song, because he denies Jesus in song. Yeah. Then he does it again. And then on the 3rd denial, he goes, "I did not know him!" And that the song ends. It's over. Yeah. And then a new one starts right after. But that was the one we were talking about earlier. Because as he finishes his denial, Mary comes out and makes him confront what he's just done, denying Jesus. Mm-hmm. But he claims that he had to do it for self-preservation. And that's what that whole segment's about. Yeah. And I feel like it really is moving at this point. Like, it's going.
Yeah. Things are happening.
Which is good, finally. Pontius Pilate now comes back out, and he confronts Jesus. And he mentions that he's smaller than he expected. And he talks about how much trouble he's in, but that Jesus seems oddly calm given the situation. Yeah. Right after this, Jesus' crew begins to turn on him. And Alice Cooper then shows up because he's apparently King Herod in this thing.
God bless him. What a treasure.
Alice Cooper is something else.
You fucking owned this.
That's true.
It is the best part of the entire thing to me.
He is overjoyed to meet Jesus face to face. He challenges Jesus. He gets, 2 songs?
I think so. Yeah. But his first song is fucking, like, enthralling.
He challenges Jesus to prove that he's the God that they say he's claimed to be. Yeah. Because they've done the thing where, like, do you claim to be the God? He's like, that's what you say I am.
Right, which is infuriating. Right. Like, do you, though? Just say yes or no.
Do you think you're a God?
Do you think you're a God?
Like,
yes
you
or no?
think I am.
Yeah, exactly. He's so annoying.
But he challenges him to prove that he is. It's like, turn this water into wine. Yeah. Turn my boots into snakes or something like that. Yeah. He just gives him various challenges to demonstrate his power. Right. And the song actually reminded me a lot of an old Wild Western jaunt that you might hear in a saloon.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know?
Yeah. He's also wearing a shiny fire suit.
Absolutely.
Which is so cool.
He's Alice Cooper, baby.
He's Alice Cooper, and he has his, like, cane with a skull on top. Mm-hmm. Like, he looks like a demon personified. Yeah. He's rad.
When Jesus doesn't respond to all of his challenges, Herod, Alice Cooper, gets agitated and asserts that he is nothing that he claims and is just a fraud. And so the guards take Jesus away. Alice Cooper indulges himself as Alice Cooper a little bit in how excited the audience is to see him.
He's a crowd pleaser.
Because he goes out there and he high fives and he has some of the audience literally kiss his rings.
Yeah, and also the crowd goes nuts as soon as he appears and just don't stop.
Yeah, because they're excited the whole time. Yeah. And then Jesus' former cult members come by and actually kiss Herod's rings. Mm-hmm. They're like literally kissing his hands and stuff. Yeah. Mary Magdalene gets her own number now. And I'm going to be honest, this whole movie, she doesn't get a full song by herself.
Also, she gets no personality or she gets nothing.
Yeah.
She did too. She got that whole song that she did about she didn't know how to love Jesus. Was that this one? I don't know how to love him.
No, that was right.
Earlier. Yeah, it was
that was
long
just really short. Yeah, you're right.
It was long to me.
Was it?
I was like, why is this still happening?
I think it was pretty short. I could be wrong.
Well, all the songs are pretty short.
Yeah. But she gets her own thing, and it's singing about how she'd like to start again because she thinks that things are going wrong for the first time and that Jesus is going too far to prove his point. Peter joins in on this one and basically sings the same thing.
Yeah.
But they're basically saying, we think you've proved your point now. This is not the way to do it. We think you've proved your point now.
Yeah.
Can't we start over from where we were before?
Right.
This was apparently happening either after Jesus' trial or during the torture part of it, because Judas pops in right after them and passionately talks about how he saw what happened to Jesus and that Jesus was bent and broken, and he's concerned that people will blame him for it, but he says that he would save him if he could. Mm-hmm. Whereupon Caiaphas and the rest of the Pharisees tell him to stop his whining. He agreed to it, and he was well paid for his efforts.
Yeah, I agree with them.
That's true. But I would point out that at this point, Judas has constantly had the refrain that this is what Jesus wanted to happen.
Also that, yeah.
You wanted me to do it. Yeah. You told me to do it.
Yeah.
And then
he's the most sympathetic character in this entire thing.
I think
I think he really is.
So this is, I guess, the most appropriate.
His understood.
I guess it's the most appropriate point to bring it up. The story of Judas doesn't make sense.
Okay, go on. You mean like in the Bible?
Yeah.
Okay.
And culturally. Because he's considered a huge traitor.
Right.
Right? But the whole point of Jesus, if we take the mythology as a real thing, was to come down to earth as a representation of God, or God himself, depending on how you interpret it, and then be killed so that he could pay the price for everyone's sins.
Yeah.
So that God could forgive us for the things that we did.
Right. Martyrdom was on the table from the beginning.
Martyrdom was always the plan.
It was the only thing that would, yeah.
So, assuming martyrdom was the plan, I guess a betrayer is not necessary for it, but someone had to turn Jesus in.
Right.
It doesn't have to be someone who knew him and betrayed him. It could just be anybody. But someone had to turn him in.
Right.
And the way the story goes for Judas is that Judas is the turner-inner. Mm-hmm. And so he's the worst person ever.
Right.
But that's not true.
No.
Judas is, in fact, one of the integral elements of this Jesus story that was necessary and planned for.
Right.
So why is he the bad guy? He's the good guy. He did way more to help humanity as the whole than any of the other 11 apostles.
Right. Which actually, to give this play credit,
right,
I think this is the only representation, it's
one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, well, it's one of the only interpretations that covers that, I think, in a way that really shows the conflict that is Judas, and that he is a whole character and not just a bad guy. And they give him as much. He's the main character in this. Mm-hmm. Jesus is just wandering around in the background, occasionally yelling at people.
True.
And Judas is the one who's like his character is the character that we're following.
But like at one point in the play, in the musical, Jesus calls Judas a Judas. Like, you are a traitor. You are a Judas. Because
he already made him a verb before it even happened.
It's another anachronism.
I didn't notice that.
It's clearly on purpose. But it's like, Judas is so vilified by the culture that he is synonymous with traitor.
Right.
In Dante's Inferno, he's one of the 3 most punished entities in the universe. He's there with Satan.
I forgot that.
Yeah. He's one of the worst people to ever have existed, period.
Right.
But it's not true. Because Judas was an integral part of a much broader plan, and he had to do it. Someone had to do it.
Yeah, and he was a follower beginning, middle, and end. Like, he was, middle
and
end.
It just doesn't make sense to me that Judas is the bad guy.
Yeah.
Judas is not the bad guy.
No.
Judas, if we take the story as true, and I don't, but if we do, Judas is like the 4th best person ever. because he allowed Jesus to do the thing that Jesus was sent on the planet to do.
Right.
And this play does cover it. It does talk about it. But it's just a very frustrating thing because no one seems to acknowledge it. Judas is somehow...
I feel like the play acknowledges it, but the people inside it do not.
People inside it do not, and the people in the real world do not.
In real world, right.
This play is often considered blasphemous.
I know, it's hilarious.
So, I want to take the opportunity now, because Judas in the play, and in the Bible, he hangs himself. He kills himself.
Yeah.
So he clearly feels bad about it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But what does he feel bad about? He saved the world.
But again, it's the conflict. It's like he knows he did the right thing, but he also feels absolutely wretched because it's like his friend and this guy that he has been following forever was murdered very horribly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
technically because of his actions.
Right.
But I think he's seeing both, and his songs revolve around that conflict.
Right.
Right. Which, by the way, they handle his suicide very cleverly, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
obviously not being able to show suicide on live.
And you shouldn't. Probably. It's best not to. But it's just one of those things that I want to cover now. Mm-hmm. Judas, if we take Christian mythology as a real thing, if we take the Bible as a true story,
right,
is honestly one of the best people on the planet.
Right.
Ever. Period.
Right.
He betrayed one of his friends to accomplish a goal that was higher than anyone else.
Right.
And even if we take the claim that he's in hell now as true, that only furthers his point. That makes him better than Jesus, honestly.
Yeah.
Jesus isn't in hell. Judas is.
Yeah.
He betrayed a dude, possibly willingly, and with full knowledge and forethought of what was going to happen.
He is a full martyr.
It's a full martyr. Jesus was dead for a couple of days.
Right.
And then came back to life.
And then went to heaven.
Right.
Yeah.
Judas
was punished for eternity.
All of it.
Right.
So he's a better person than God.
Yeah, it's true. Who forsake him?
All right, that's fine. I just wanted to clever that real quick.
You wanted to clever it?
Shut up. But Caiaphas and the rest of the Pharisees tell him to stop his whining, and Judas calls out to Jesus and laments that he's been spattered with innocent blood, and he'll be dragged through the slime and the mud. It's a little late for that, but hey, do your thing, man. Judas then breaks down into a different song about not understanding why he feels the way he does about Jesus.
His conflict song.
It's conflict song.
Yeah.
And he believes Jesus to be just a man and not a god or whatever he claims to be, but he still has this draw to him that he just can't explain.
Sex.
Not John Legend. Never. Caiaphas, maybe.
I mean, maybe there's a gay sex thing there that could... I don't know the draw.
But come on, John Legend. We talked about Norm Lewis. That dude's attractive.
I'm not... You know I'm not disagreeing.
I know.
I think he's repugnant. But everyone on stage tends to enjoy to just caress and grab and pull at him and his gross body.
His man cleavage.
I am not body shaming him. He clearly works out.
Right.
I'm grossed out by him as a person.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with his actual body.
No.
And everything to do with him as a human.
Exactly. Exactly correct.
Judas follows up this conflict song with asking why he was the one chosen for this foul crime. And he blames Jesus for his own murder. And this goes back to the point I was just making. Mm-hmm. Like, you chose me for this. You wanted me to do this. And now I'm going to be blamed for it. You wanted me to do this, and now I'm going to be blamed for it.
Right.
And that, to be fair, that is fucked up.
Yeah, it is.
Because if we take the fiction of the play to be accurate, Judas thinks he was supposed to do this, and in fact he was, but now he's the one who has to pay the consequence. Mm-hmm. Because he then follows this up by creating a noose out of all the sheets that he's been collecting over the course of the play.
Yeah, in the most emotional moment of the play. Like, he actually really...
he goes for it.
He goes for it, and it's good. It's one of the few emotional moments that's not embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he creates a big noose, he climbs up this scaffold that they've built on the stage, and he hangs himself.
Yeah.
But we don't see it hanging. No. We just see him climb up a ladder.
Whatever the last couple of times, it should be noted, I think it's important, when Judas has a song, that's one of the more pivotal points in the play, there's women in the background singing. They're kind of doing like, I can't remember what they do the first time they show up, but they kind of once he stops singing, they're doing like a goodbye Judas, well done
so
Judas, or so long Judas, or whatever. So you have an idea of what he's about to do. Yeah. And he just keeps climbing and keeps climbing and keeps climbing, and it goes on for a little while. And then he kind of disappears up into the top layer of the scaffolding, where there's like a ladder that he climbs, and then the ladder itself kind of falls and hangs. Mm-hmm. Thus intimating towards suicide in a very clever way, I thought.
Right. It's the same thing as like you might see in a movie that doesn't show it, where someone climbs the ladder and then the ladder falls, but they don't fall.
Right. Or you just see the rope being taut.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a very similar thing. And it was effective. Like,
it was effective.
If anyone didn't know what was happening. That's a hard thing to
pull off on a stage.
Right. If anyone didn't know what this Judas story was, they now probably get it.
Right.
It's pretty clear. He's hung himself. Mm-hmm. Hanged himself.
Yeah.
Whatever. English.
Whatever.
We're cutting right away now. Judas is dead. They do the chorus thing. So long, Judas. Goodbye, Judas. So long, Judas.
Very emotional.
It is. Pontius Pilate is talking to the crowd about what should happen to Jesus.
I love Pontius Pilate.
And he's really good.
He's so good. And he's hot.
Jesus' former followers demand that he be crucified. Pontius sticks up for him as an innocent but misguided man and calls them all hypocrites. Mm-hmm. But they continue demanding crucifixion. And so we get to watch Pontius count to like 40.
This was painful.
This was bad.
And it wasn't painful because I was feeling Jesus's pain.
It was literally a count to 40.
It was like, how many? Oh my God. I'm like, how many are there?
Yeah,
like,
it's 1 whip, 2 whip,
3, 4, 40.
Yeah, I believe it ends at 39.
It was 39.
But it's like, holy shit.
No, because I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, it wasn't, if I was being moved and like every one was like just making me more engaged, that's different. Yeah. But it's like, no, the counting is still going.
Yeah. This part is not what I would call riveting television.
Not at all. But especially because John Legend is again supposed to be really selling
He just looks confused.
He looks confused and maybe tired.
Oh, this whipping, it's so tiring.
Yeah, just like, oh, I don't want to stand anymore.
After the whipping, Pontius Pilate pleads to Jesus to just talk to him so that he can help him out. Because Jesus has not said a word this whole time.
Right.
He needs to talk to him, and he needs to stop being so silent and calm when his life is literally in Pilate's hands. Mm-hmm. Like, you need to talk to me. You need to stop being this way.
Right.
Because I have your life in my hands. Yeah. Help me out. Help me help you.
Right. Pontius doesn't want him to die.
Right.
Like, yeah.
But Jesus claims that nothing is in his hands, everything is fixed, and nothing can be changed.
Yeah, he's a paranoid schizophrenic.
And I definitely want to cover that base later.
Okay.
That's important.
Just that exact moment?
That exact moment.
Okay.
The crowd continues shouting for Jesus' crucifixion, and Pilate gets frustrated with Jesus for not cooperating, and he washes his hands of the situation and tells him to die if he wants.
Yeah. So dramatic.
It is.
He's so extra, especially with the amount of leather he's wearing. There's a lot of swamp ass on the set.
Definitely. Yeah. It's definitely hot.
Yes. There's a lot of lights shining a lot of men in very tight leather pants.
Judas is back on stage singing now, presumably from the afterlife. And they do the big number that most people probably know from this show, Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
As we did earlier, Jesus Christ.
Is this the one? Is this where Judas comes back in the weird glitter shirt? What the fuck was he wearing? What was that? That was some, I'm going to say early 2000s club scene, shredded white jeans and top, glitter, beads,
sparkly
sequins? I don't know what. But again, I'm so distracted by this ridiculous wardrobe that I didn't even realize that I knew the song that was being sung. Like, I recognized it eventually, but I'm like, what the fuck did they put him in?
Yeah.
Yeah, and why wasn't he like, nah, man, let's try something different. Let's tone this down.
But if you haven't heard the song, it's basically asking Jesus if everything worked out the way that he expected, and that if he was the God-man everyone else seemed to think that he was, or if he was just a man after all. Some of the quotes are, "Who are you? What have you sacrificed? Do you think you are what they say you are?" And that's sort of that song.
Yeah.
It is the most famous song from this musical by far.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it says the title of it.
It's the name of the movie!
It's the name of the movie!
The finale of this musical is Jesus is on the cross, and he goes through all of the famous Jesus on the cross sayings. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Father, why have you forsaken me? It is finished, and into my hands I commend your spirit. And he goes through this very quickly.
Yeah.
Because even the play, I think, is done with it.
Right. We're just, okay, let's
get there. I know this is like a whole big story, but can we just say the 4 big lines and be done?
We're tired of dancing.
And so Jesus dies on the cross, and that's basically the end of the play.
basically, except for this is the best part of the play, is the set that was designed for his crucifixion is fucking rad.
Is it?
Yes, because it's not just the cross with him on it.
Yeah.
Once he dies, and we acknowledge, like, we know that he dies, the cross itself gets, like, raised up, and the set behind it breaks into 4 pieces, where it spreads out slowly, so it becomes, like, 4 squares creating a cross behind the cross that he's on, with really bright light shining from behind it.
Right.
It looks rad. And then they have him on some sort of pulley system where the whole cross with John Legend on it moved slowly to the back, where it looks like he's just, like, disappearing into nothing, and is replaced with light. And there's just light coming through this, like, staged cross type pattern. It's amazing.
Nice. Yeah.
Did you not notice that?
No.
What? It's the best thing. I'm like, the best thing about this is how much time and energy went into the set design. Yeah. It was so cool.
Well, that's a good point, because I was just about to do best and worst.
Yeah.
There you go. The best part was the set.
Well, hold on.
According to Hillary.
The set, and then a few of the actors I was so on board with, including, obviously, Pontius Pilate. I was talking about him. I think he was amazing.
Yeah,
he's
that
the
was my
strongest
best.
actor, I thought.
My best is definitely Pontius Pilate.
Yeah, but I also...
Ben Daniels. Shout out to you.
Ben Daniels, thank you. You're a blessing. Alice Cooper's always rad. I just enjoy him. He's an enjoyable person. And then the really hot cornrows guy who is... What was his name, though? I can't pronounce it.
Caiaphas.
Yes. Love him.
Yes.
Love Caiaphas.
Yeah. Caiaphas.
Love the Broadway people.
Caiaphas can call me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what's up, Caiaphas?
Hit me up. What's up?
All right, and the worst. What's the worst?
John Legend exists in this world.
Yeah, my worst is just, it's a musical. I don't. Part of the reason I probably missed the ending cross thing is because it was like, oh, look, it's done. I stopped paying attention.
You didn't.
I checked out immediately.
I would be shocked if you didn't push stop. And like,
I did let it play all the way through.
Let it play to the credits.
But I wasn't.
I genuinely love watching the actors come up on stage afterwards and doing their bow thing. I don't know,
yeah.
I like the energy of that.
Yeah.
They also just seem so happy that it's over. They survived and it was good.
I don't care for musicals even a little bit.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I know.
I try. I tried.
Yeah.
I just can't. Oh boy. Mm-hmm. All right, so I did mention I wanted to cover a point later.
Yeah.
And it was Jesus' claim during his trial that nothing is in Pontius Pilate's hands and everything is fixed and it can't be changed. So here's the thing. That sounds like a weird thing. In this one situation. Everything is the way it's supposed to be and this is how it's going to happen. But I think it speaks to a broader point.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. In a world, if we assume there's a world where a God exists, an omniscient, omnibenevolent, omnipotent God, and an omnipresent God. He's everywhere. He's everything. He's the strongest thing. He's perfect.
Yeah.
And can never be wrong.
Right.
Everything is fixed and can't be changed. That's just facts.
Right.
If there's an entity...
Grand divine,
Right. If there's an entity which knows everything and can never, ever be wrong... You don't have a choice in the matter.
Nobody has a choice about anything.
Right.
Period.
But
he gave us choice. So
that's the thing. You can't give choice and then know the response. Adam and Eve, the whole thing that caused the downfall of man, is not their fault. It's his fault.
Yeah.
Because he made them this way.
Yeah.
He knew what was going to happen and he did it anyway.
Yeah.
Every sin that is held against you, everything that you go to hell for, Judas in particular, is not your fault because you were made this way by the omniscient God who knew you were going to act this way and knew what you were going to decide at the end of your life.
Right.
No matter what you think you get salvation through, it doesn't matter. Because if you did or did not, the answer was known, and you were birthed into the world on purpose and sent to a certain place from the beginning.
Right.
This is very important. This is what people need to understand. Every time someone argues that life without God is meaningless, I want them to understand that life with God is actually significantly more meaningless. Because if you go to hell, it's not even your fault.
Right.
You couldn't have changed it.
Right. It was out of your hands
do.
From the beginning.
Yes. Because he knew what was going to happen. He knew it. It's not, I guessed and I was right. Knew it and was perfectly knowledgeable.
Right. Intelligent design put you in hell.
Intelligent design put you in hell.
Right.
It's just facts.
Yes.
Just be clear. I don't think people have free will anyway. I'm a somewhat determinist. Like, you are a collection of brainwaves that do respond to certain stimulus in a way, and you can't really help it. Like, you can't choose what you believe. But at least the way that the world works does change you. You know? Like, it's not determined by an entity which is perfect and is never wrong.
Right.
Even if I can predict your behavior, I am not always right.
Right.
There's a significant difference.
Exactly.
If I know you so well that I always know how you're going to respond to something,
right.
I don't know you so well that I can perfectly predict how you're going to respond to everything.
Right, because the world is chaos.
Right.
Things happen to change everything
Right.
at every moment.
Right. But God can, because he is perfect. He's a perfect knowledge of the future. It's absolute. It's undying. It's always correct. So anyone who went to hell, it's his fault. Anyone who went to heaven, chosen by him.
Yeah.
That's just facts. You can't dispute this. This is not disputable. People will dispute it nonetheless.
They'll try.
But it's not disputable.
No, I know.
He's a perfect entity with perfect knowledge of the future. When Jesus was sent down to earth, this was always going to happen in exactly the way that it happened. There was no questions about it. It wasn't, ooh, maybe it'll be Judas, maybe it'll be Peter, maybe it'll be Simon. Yeah, no, it was always Judas.
This is a God I can never get behind.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to be clear. I wanted to cover that point because it's important.
It is important.
To the religion.
Yeah, and to ours.
And this,
and to our non-religion.
And it may not be the case, but I feel like part of the reason that this musical, is considered so blasphemous is because they cover that fact.
Yeah.
They talk about it. Almost openly, but they don't even address it as hard as I would like.
Right. Well, it kind of paints Jesus as more of like a cultural phenomenon as opposed to a divine entity.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is more trying to do like an allegory as like to like celebrity worship and all of that kind of stuff.
And it is.
I feel like that is, aside from the sympathetic view of Judas, painting Jesus as anything but divine is going to be considered blasphemous.
Right.
And he's basically just a celebrity.
Right. And that's true, and it is.
He's someone who gives them themselves the last name Legend, for instance. He didn't, someone else gave him that name, but still, he took it.
But it is, and that's definitely a part of it. But I can't shake this feeling that part of the pushback against it, since it's been around, since 1970?
70, yeah.
Yeah, part of the pushback is definitely the fact that they acknowledge that Judas was told to do this. Judas was sent to do this. It's his mission in life.
Yeah.
And Judas is the hero of this story. Mm-hmm. He's the only person who paid the price permanently.
Right. Everybody else just moved on to the next.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Jesus was dead for a couple of days and came back to life. God never experienced it. Judas, if you buy into the normal Christian story, is in hell.
Yeah.
Forever. And will never, ever not come out of it.
Right.
That's insane.
Judas needs a lawyer. Like a really good lawyer.
Judas should have had a good lawyer in Jesus.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
No, I know. This is a good conversation. This was a good play for a good conversation.
Judas doesn't typically come up in a lot of Christian stuff. Mm-hmm. At least not especially in a nuanced way, which this was. So it gives me a good opportunity to talk about it. But it's all, like, literally I remember being a teenager and being like, Judas is the good guy. Judas helped everybody.
He did his job.
Even when I still believed. I was
right.
like, but Judas is a good guy. Judas helped. Mm-hmm. Judas is an essential component to this story.
Right.
And obviously later I stopped believing it, but it remains true.
Yeah. It's like the importance of the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sympathy for the Devil is a great song, but also a good point.
Right.
Who's praying for that guy?
Yeah. All right. So that's all I wanted to cover on that. Do you have anything you wanted to finish before we?
No, not really. I want to point out, one of the other plays that Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Oh, yeah.
So that might have to happen in the future. I'll give you like 3 years to decompress from this one. And then we'll throw another musical into the mix. Okay. All right? Because I've never seen that one. I actually don't know much about that one.
Either.
I know it has a fucking great coat. And I know there's an episode of Seinfeld
it's a Technicolor
where Kramer gets
coat.
that coat.
I know that one.
Yeah, that's all I know. Anyway.
I saw a cartoon adaptation of it once.
Okay. Actually, I think I can see that in my head. Yeah. It's from the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know it.
It's weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
80s cartoons.
I didn't know it was a musical, though. Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll do it. Eventually. No promises.
No promises.
Next week on this show, our main character is angry and bereft, and she's hunting a killer But while doing that, she meets a beautiful, beautiful man. Unfortunately, he's the stupidest man on the planet.
The fuck are you talking about?
You don't know what I'm talking about.
It involves murder, though. I'm excited.
But you can find out
what
I mean when we review next week's movie. With reviews calling it, quote, not a cheesy Christian movie, and a true gem and my favorite picture of 2012.
Okay.
So please do return next week as we talk about Unconditional. Also now available on Netflix.
What? I've never even heard of this.
You're gonna be excited.
You've never even mentioned this to me.
I know.
I like that you're keeping secrets now.
I got secrets!
Oh, this is fun.
But he is a beautiful man, and he's the stupidest man on the planet. He's the dumbest person.
Who plays him?
Michael Ealy?
No, I don't know who that is.
You'll see him. He's real pretty.
Okay, so it's gonna be at least worth watching for that reason.
He's real pretty, yeah.
Okay, but dumb makes him less pretty.
Oh, you'll see why. You're not gonna disagree.
He's gonna be the ugliest person in the world.
He is the beautifulest, dumbest son of a bitch in the fucking world ever.
It's like John Hamm's character in 30 Rock. Do you have an idea what I'm talking about?
Nope.
All right, somebody out there does.
Oh, kind of.
Yeah, it's, he's in the bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that episode.
And always remember, if you like the show, please give us some of those 5-star reviews in whatever podcast app or service you are using, and tell your friends about us.
Definitely.
Sit them down and put it into their iTunes.
Yeah. Tell them we're trying our best.
Send a link and share a social media post. But don't forget that we do have a website at noahssnarkpodcast.com. On the website, you can find all of our episodes, as well as links to our social media, which I've also included in the description of this episode. We recently got an Instagram.
What?
It's true.
Oh, you told me that.
I did.
That's right.
We have
well done.
all the social medias that I'm aware of.
We're so hip. Modern.
I got our first Instagram for this.
So modern.
Go to our website and send us a comment or a question so that we can have a mailbag segment. I want it. She wants it, kind of.
I do want it.
All right. And as always, thanks for listening.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.